In this digital world, there is a saying, security is always excessive until it's not enough. We all think that our data shared with the external environment is protected, but the external environment is hostile and unpredictable. Hence, there is a need to put check against the data privacy. Data privacy audit plays a crucial role in such scenarios. Before getting into the topic, let's understand the meaning and difference between the following terms. Audit. It is an examination of the financial records in order to find out to what extent the records are reliable and in compliance with the law. Auditing data. It means assessing the reliability and the relevance of data. Data privacy. To what extent we are able to control our personal information. Auditing data privacy. It is a new age audit approach and will be explained in the next slides. In order to understand the role of data privacy audit, first we need to understand how traditional business works and how the current world works, that is, a decade ago versus today. Traditionally, books were maintained in manual form and used to involve human involvement. However, in today's world, the entire bookkeeping process is in electronic form and involves minimum human involvement. The role of technology and internet in the traditional business was negligible and optional. However, in current world, IT and the internet became internal parts of the business. In fact, they are the lifelines of the business. Trading was restricted to local boundaries due to various reasons. However, in today's world, there are no boundaries for trading and can trade freely anywhere in the world. Due to such changes, the business has realized the importance and the prominence of data in decision making. Certain companies have gained largely from data accumulation. For example, Asian Paints have invested in supercomputers way back in 1970s and accumulated data over the ages, and now it's an unbeatable player in the industry. Data has become an invaluable asset to the organization. The data once generated has no expiry date and can be used in any manner and for any number of times. It was also proposed to classify the data as an asset in the balance sheet. Successful decision making mostly rely on the data collected and processed. The source of data can be both manual and automatic. Such data collected is refined in many ways to obtain structured data which is useful for the decision making. The moment the data has become an integral part of the business, there is a transformation of the business from the traditional version to the digital version, resulting in massive changes in the manner of generation, collection, storage, communication and interpretation of the data. This had a parallel effect on the audit procedures and auditor's approach. Now, while auditing the digital version of the businesses, the auditor has two jobs. 1. To verify the financial records. 2. Verify the data privacy policies of the organization with respect to the data collected. Currently, in India, companies are required to practice reasonable security policies to protect the data under Information Technology Act 2000. What happens when data privacy policies are not maintained? In this digital world, data is gold and information is a treasure. Hence, the external environment always searches an opportunity to collect the data. In case if data privacy practices are not maintained, a data breach may occur. The breached data may be sold on the internet, which became a serious issue in today's world. For example, Truecaller's user data has been breached and sold on the dark web in May 2019. In order to regulate the data privacy and to put check over the data breaches, the EU has already implemented General Data Protection Regulations, also known as GDPR. Currently, the Government of India has proposed to implement the Data Protection Bill to overcome these issues. Now let us understand few basic terms of the data privacy. Data. It means any data, whether it's a fact or opinion or instruction or anything. Principal data means the natural person to whom the data belongs. It may be noted that it's natural person, that is human being. Data fiduciary means a person who determines the purpose and the means of the processing. Data processor means any person who processes the personal information on behalf of data fiduciary. Personal data means any data about an individual. Sensitive personal data includes password and other financial information. Data auditor means an auditor appointed under the statute. This can be understood with an example. Assume there is a person named Mr. Ram. Mr. Ram has signed up Amazon account for the first time by giving basic details like name, address, contact number and other details if any. After signing up, Mr. Ram placed certain orders and gets them delivered. Here, Mr. Ram is data principal, Amazon is a data fiduciary as well as data processor. Details of Mr. Ram, including what he searched and ordered on Amazon, are personal data. The payment and bank related information comes under sensitive personal data. Here there are two terms that we need to focus. 1. Data fiduciary, 2. Data auditors. We already understood as to who is a data fiduciary. Now one may get doubt as to what the data fiduciary does with the data stored. Let's take an example of Asian Paints. Asian Paints have accumulated data over decades from its dealers, and now it can predict as to which dealer in which region requires how much quantity and at what time with an accuracy rate of 90%. In the instant case, Asian Paints are data fiduciary, and the purpose of data collection and processing is to predict the demand. Now let us see what are the duties of the data fiduciary. The responsibility to process the data is with the data fiduciary, whether the data processing is done by the data fiduciary himself or by the data processor. While processing the data fiduciary has to ensure that he has taken a reasonable privacy policies to protect the privacy of the data. Also, he has to ensure that the data is disposed of as and when the purpose is fulfilled. The data audit is concerned with a detailed description of the proposed processing operation, the purpose of processing, and the nature of personal data being processed. Let's recall our Asian Paints example. Here, the proposed processing operation is understanding the data collected from various dealers. Purpose is to predict the demand. The extent of the personal data is minimal as it is concerned with the dealers and not with the individual data. 2. Assessment of potential harm that may be caused to the data principals. Let's recall our example of Truecaller. The data of the users have been sold on the dark web. If the data includes sensitive personal data like passwords, the higher the chances of harm to the data principals. 3. Measures of removing the risk of harm. What measures have been taken to mitigate the risk? Now coming to the data auditor. The following are the duties of the data auditor. Whether the data fiduciary has given an appropriate notice regarding the nature and the purpose of data collection to the data principal. In a nutshell, this is nothing but accepting terms and conditions that we accept before installing an app. Whether the data fiduciary has designed and implemented the privacy policies and whether the same is effective. Whether reasonable transparency has been maintained in processing of personal data. Whether appropriate security safeguards have been adopted. Whether any data breach has occurred. Limitations of data privacy audit. Adoption to the technology. Technology being offside field, the auditor may find it difficult to adopt the latest emerging technologies. Further, these emerging technologies require continuous training. Auditor may find it difficult in understanding huge volumes of data and the sources of data. The future is all about the technologies that is going to be ever-changing. A clean report of data privacy audit is an indication that the organization has maintained appropriate privacy policies. A small weakness in privacy policies may also result in huge loss to the organization. However, this ever-changing and dynamic technology will make the auditor's job tough.